really quickly, this is going to be really short, but it never is. He's laughing because he's like, really? That means longish. So some of you I've never met before. Some of you have been in my home in Prague. Yeah. Some of you I've been in your homes. Right?
Yes.
And I'd just like to say thank you for everything you've done. This team truly has been amazing. You've been amazing. I mean, if you look around the room, you are literally Doterra, like, personified. Like, mothers, the right age, into health and nutrition and into yoga and into eating well. I mean, I thought it was super funny over here. There's a picture that says organic lemonade, and then there's pie right next to it. Anyway, because we're balanced, right? We are balanced here. If I could just offer one thing, and for heaven's sake, oh, my phone's going off. Sorry, I'll shut it off here. It's probably my husband saying he's like flying out because I just dropped him off at the airport. Hold on. So, if I could just offer one thing. So I've been almost 9 years building Doterra. And gosh, I started a business when I was 15 years old. So it's been a long, long time since I've owned my own companies. I've owned a lot of companies, but there's one thing that I believe in, and it's consistency. And I believe that you can make miracles happen and not just be good, but be the absolute best in your field with just one simple thing. And that's consistency, because 99.9% of everyone else will not be consistent. And so what I chose to do is I chose to focus on one thing. And that one thing changes in my life. I have different stages, and my kids become different ages, and my business is at a different stage. But I choose one thing, and I promise myself that I will, no matter what, first thing before anything else happens in the day, put an hour of time into that one thing that I'm working on. And I do it for weeks and months and years, and it has not led me wrong yet. And it will take you to the heights of whatever you're pursuing, whether it's spiritual pursuits, whether it's relationships with your family, whether it's ranking in Doterra, whether it's overcoming an addiction or a weakness that you've had. And if you think about it in your own life right now, what is the one thing that if you could just really accomplish, or if you could get better at, or if you could overcome, what is that one thing that's maybe holding you back, or the one thing that you want more than anything? And make a covenant with yourself. And sometimes that means waking up earlier than your kids wake up. Sometimes that means, for me, it means I have to actually go outside into the woods by our house and be all alone so nobody can get to me, right? And do my one thing first and do it for an hour. So we're all really good at that. All of us are good at setting goals, I think, especially those of you in your room. Usually this type of a business in Doterra attracts not outgoing, but like dedicated people that want to achieve something. But I think the thing that we're not good at is we forget that becoming excellent takes time. And it takes a lot of time. And this is where you will see people separate, right? So I'm just so you can understand this concept, I'm gonna just take weight loss for just a minute, right? All of us in this room, except for maybe you in the red pants, can understand this concept of weight loss, right?
I'm a personal trainer, okay?
Sorry.
I get
it. We've all like had this, in our life, except for you. So, if you take 3 people, right, and one person does exactly just the same thing, eats the same way, works out the same way, doesn't really change anything with their health or their lifestyle, and then you have another person who just only cuts out just 125 calories a day. It's just a little bit. It's not a lot. It's like what? I don't know, like a half of a piece of bread, like a piece of bread, a slice of bread or something like that, right? A full glass of milk. That's all they do differently. And then you have another person that all they do is just add just 125 calories a day, right? It's just 2 cookies. It's maybe a soda, right? Well, the first about 4 to 6 months, you won't see a difference at all. There will be no difference. It's so small that there's absolutely no difference. And so the person that's actually adding the calories will think, this is not gonna hurt me, right? It's just something really little. The person that's actually taking away the calories, sometimes what do they think? This is not even gonna work for me, right? Like every time I just say no to something teeny, right? It's not gonna make an effect in my life. And so most of the time when you try and change something, when you try and do something, when you try and contact just one person every day, and it takes a while, they stop and they think this is, nothing's working. So anyway, after about 6 months, they think, you kind of look at all 3 the same. You take that out 12 months, and the difference is just totally very imperceptible. We're talking just a couple of pounds lost and just a couple of pounds gained from the people that are like taking away calories and adding calories. And the person that stays the same just stays the same, not really doing anything, just staying the same, not really changing his life, not really doing anything negative. Well, you actually take that out to month 24, right? And this is where you kind of see a separation. Now, it's not a massive separation, but a separation. We're talking like 10 pounds. Now, 10 pounds, you can still squeeze into your pants if you lay down, right? So you think, I haven't done anything drastically bad, right? Have none of you tried to do that before? Or I'm the only one here? So it's 10 pounds lost, it's 10 pounds gained, but go to 30 months out. It's 30 pounds and 60, it's 30 pounds lost or 30 pounds gained. There's a 60-pound difference between the person now who's thin and the person now who's very overweight. And you see a massive difference. We can understand that when it comes to calories. In our brains, that makes sense. Because we know that, right?
Right.
A pound is what, 3,500 calories. So you take 125 calories a day, you times them out. After about 30 months, you'll look and you'll see that's 33 or 30 pounds difference. But some of us don't understand that same concept when it comes to our businesses and when it comes to changing habits, overcoming addictions, fixing a relationship, right? It's all the same. So if you take something that you specifically want to work on, and for every single one of us, it's so different, right? Maybe for one of you, it's like, I have to rank, or I'm not gonna pay the bills, or my husband just lost a job, or I only have a few years left before my kids need me more, and you have this window of opportunity, right? Whatever it is. For some of you, it might be an addiction that you're facing, that you've tried 1,000 times to overcome and you could never do it, right? For others, maybe it's a relationship that is literally like taking all your joy in life away from you. I've learned through a lot of trial and error and a ton of feeling that if I just take an hour, and I'm kind of an overachiever type person. I don't know if any of you are like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 5:45, or any of you like this, like you're like, I'm changing my whole life, and I'm eating better, and I'm waking up at 5:45, and I'm also gonna like bake bread for my kids, and I'm gonna do this, and like, you know what I mean, and like I try and like do everything perfect, and I never can, and so then I'm like, if I can't be perfect, what do?
Nothing.
I'm just gonna eat Snickers bars. I'm trying it all out, and like I'm not trying anything, right? So what I found is that if I just take one thing, and I commit that I will do it an hour a day, nothing really changes in a month or two. I feel better about myself because I'm keeping my commitments, but my circumstances haven't really changed. But usually after about 6 months, I start seeing incremental changes. A couple of years later, I start to see pretty massive changes. And 9 years later, like Doterra, it's not only changed my life, but it's going to be changing my grandchildren's lives. It's pretty phenomenal, right? And it's just an hour. And a lot of us think to ourselves, I know that so many people have walked up to me and said, oh my gosh, like I have such a hard time going silver. How did you go triple diamond, right? It's like overwhelming, right? And honestly, in my heart, all I think, and I say to them is, I do exactly what you do, but I've been doing it consistently for 9 years. Just what you do. I just do the same thing, but I just do it consistently. So, if you want to change something in your life, just find an hour. That's all you have to do is find an hour. All of us can find an hour, I promise you can, because you're wasting an hour right now. Like every day you're wasting at least an hour doing stuff you don't even realize it's wasted time, right? So instead put that to something that really will change your life the most. I remember I made a big list of everything, because my personality does this, everything I wanted to change. It was huge, like all the things I wanted to change. And then I forced myself to make that list down to 5. And like I'd get rid of some things. I'm like, patience, get rid of patience. Sorry, Patrick, getting rid of that one. That will be another decade or whatever. And I forced myself to get down to 5. And then I looked at it again, and I looked at these 5 things, and I said, if I could only choose one that I could become excellent at. So I forced myself to get down to 1. And then I went to work on it. And you can become excellent at anything if you put your mind to it and do it consistently. And it's an amazing principle. And it's something available for every single one of us. So, that's my little tidbit for tonight. Hopefully tonight, maybe you guys can make your own little list. Maybe your list won't be quite as long as mine, because you don't have quite as many things you have to work on. And put that down to 1 thing, right? And then decide when that hour is going to be. For me, for everyone it's going to be different. For me, it had to be in the morning. Because at night, I'm so tired that I'm just like, I'm the type of mom that at night, I'm like, if you come out of that room, I will staple your lips together. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of shut down after 9:30. Like, whoa. And during the day, I'm so rattled and stuff going on. So for me, it had to be in the morning. But I know other people, mornings don't work for them. They have little babies getting up. They have, things are happening. It might be in the middle of the day when your kids are sleeping or your kids are all off to school. Some of you are night owls, right? Find the hour, find what you're going to do, and this is the key. Do you know what it means to covenant to yourself? Do you know what that means? How many of you have made, you don't have to raise your hand, so many promises to yourself, and then by 6 p.m. in the evening, you're like, tomorrow, right? Like, every day, right, when it comes to chips. Anyway, so covenanting to yourself basically means this. Taking all of your self-esteem, taking all of your commitment, everything you've got, and just saying, I don't care if I mess up on 100 things, but this one thing I promise myself that I will do. And you do it day after day after day. And the coolest thing is, you start believing in yourself. You start believing that when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I do it. And then that one thing turns out to be 2. Then you can make commitments, and you start keeping 3 of your commitments, and then 4. And then an amazing thing happens. You like who you become. You look in the mirror and you think, you know what? That's not a perfect person, but that's a pretty cool girl in the mirror. And I really like her. And I really like who she's becoming. And I want to be who she is. And that's a beautiful feeling. I have found more joy and more happiness and more peace and more connection with God in the last little while that I've been doing doTERRA and been really focusing on me and focusing on overcoming my weaknesses and focusing on keeping my commitments than ever before in my life. I believe in Allyse Sedivy. I like who she is. She has a ton of weaknesses, and my husband always says, it might take you well past the grave to overcome everything, but I'll be patient with you. I'm like, thank you, Patrick. But with all that said, guess what? It's good. It's really good. So, in your hearts, could you just make a commitment to me right now that tonight, will you choose that one thing? And will you find that hour? And then in your brains tell yourself, this is not a month commitment. This is not a 6-month commitment. This is a commitment until you get, the word is automatized, until it's so automatic with you that you couldn't choose differently. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And that might take years, and for some of the things I've had to work on, decades. And is that okay?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's why we're here. Thank you for everything you've done for my business personally, because not only are you growing your business, you're growing my business. Not only are you growing your dreams, but you're growing my dreams. And thank you for what you continue to do. I'm totally inspired by this team. Not only are you the best looking team in Doterra, let's just say that right now. Like, whenever the Oats team walk by, I'm like, those are some good looking people, you know? Not that that matters, but still, you gotta turn your head every once in a while, right, Bonnie? Anyway. But one of the things that stands out to me the most about your team is I walk into a lot of parties with a lot of people. Some of my, don't hold me to this, and I love them. It's not that I think, but a couple of years ago I walked in this party, I was bringing them some gifts, and they were using oils in bongs. You know what bongs are? So they're dancing. Oh yeah, bongs all over. They were using oils, and I'm like, dang, this is a party. This is a party, right? They were like, do you remember Dan? Do you remember that? Where is Dan? And he's like, Daniel! He's using his bong outside. Dan. Anyway, and so I remember walking into this party, and they were using literally oils and bongs. I was like, okay, great, super great. And I walked into another party, and they were like sitting there, like all on, like in rows, almost like they were in school, right? And they were like looking up, and one person was speaking the whole time. I'm like, okay, this is definitely a different type of a feel, right? I walk in to your guys' party. This was, I think it was last year. At the house, yeah. At the house. And you guys were praying. You were praying. Like in a group, somebody was leaving early, and you were praying in a group, and I walked in, I'm like, this is a freaking awesome team.
Come on.
Yeah.
And you have a spirit about you, and God bless you all. I love you. You're one of my fastest growing teams, and all 900,000 people in Doterra that are under us. So let's give it up to your team. Go out there and kill it this year. Thank you for everything you do. I'm gonna go home and pack. I'm leaving tomorrow. See you guys.
Let's give Allyse a hand one more time. They're so blessed. All right, well, this party's just starting. If you haven't gotten your bag, right? So everyone can still get a bag, right? So if you haven't got a bag, make sure you get it. And